Hello, hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's Melissa Ragland with Joey Pagano. I am so happy to have Joey with us today. He's going to talk about with us how to never give up on people, no matter what. And it's a very special interview today. Joey has overcome heroin and he's been sober for 10 years now, and I really want to applaud him for that. Hi, Joey, and thank you so very much for joining us today, and congratulations.
Hey, good morning. I'm just happy to be here, and I thank you for that. And I look forward to the show. And yes, it's about just never giving up on anyone, no matter what.
Yes, I love that. I love that you say that. What would you share with us why you chose that topic?
The, it's the overall theme in my book that I'm releasing, No Addict Left Behind, and it's my story in a nutshell. It's just about the same attitude that I have to convey to people that people apply to me, right? It was about just never giving up, and I didn't recover, right? I'm a recovering addict, and I'm clean for almost 10 years, but I've had a lot of hard won experiences. I've had a lot of falling down and having to get back up. And I burned a lot of bridges, and a lot of stuff has happened in those. I used for 22 years, but in that time, people didn't give up on me. They loved me from a distance, but they didn't give up. And I have to apply that same attitude when I'm in my professional life, because I believe that, and it's like in me.
I love that. Joey, that is wonderful. Tell us about your childhood. What was your childhood like growing up?
My childhood was very I come from a good family, but a very dysfunctional family. Like I have I always call my mom, she's like a soldier, right? And I took her through like warfare, right?
Right.
I took her through, my childhood was just a family from a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a little town, three population about 3,000, called Charleroi, Pennsylvania, and it's like in the southwestern corner of PA. And we come from a place where the economy boomed. Back, I was born in '75. I'm 47. It was called the Magic City, and it was a town of shoe stores, and it was a town of theaters. And my parents had a
Wow.
shoe store called Pagano Shoe Store, and it was there for 50 years,
Wow.
until the big business and the Walmartization kind of like pushed that out. But I grew up in that. I grew up where there wasn't addiction. What is it's not on the news like it is every day here. There
Right.
was very little of it, but I found addiction. Right, I graduated in '94. I came up through, maybe we'll say, mental abuse, and the trauma of that. I came up through the bullying. I'm getting bullied every day, in high school, in middle school, just trying to fit in, and just trying to like be okay in my own skin. I could never do that. I could
Oh,
never be happy.
when you say mental abuse, where did that come from? Just school?
I believe it was school and home. Like I says, I have great parents, but the yelling was always there. The high level of stress, the fighting, the it was just constantly just not feeling good enough, right?
Who argued a lot in your family? Was it both of your parents or just one?
It was all three, but it was all three. There was yelling, but it was most, I'd say mostly my father, and then me.
Oh, you
We
yelled a lot
we had a
too?
lot. hmm I mean, we get into fights, and I would just speak up, and
Oh,
I try to like just prove my point in a situation, and I mean, not as much as my father. My father would always, he was always a loud person. It's like an Italian family, and
okay.
Italian American family. It's just always loud and always yelling, and
Right.
and it was. it just wasn't right. I mean, like I said, there was a lot of love, but I always had that overarching theme of just not feeling good enough and trying to prove myself. And I think we get that. My parents were very critical. And when I look at my parents, they parented like a very, very authoritarian parenting style. Like I'm complete opposite,
And
which is
so it sounded like you rebelled against that.
yes, yes. I mean,
So,
like I said, yeah.
right. Okay. So you were argumentative with your parents. So that is why I think you feel that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
and
because
it's
I
it's
didn't
sad.
argue with my mom. My mom said I had a smart mouth,
Mhm.
but I didn't argue with her. I knew when to be quiet.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't. And
Okay.
like I said, it's because I'd always feel like I had to prove myself. And I think we get that super ego, that part of my conscious from my parents, and I get that. I'm different. I'm completely different than them. I mean, the whole belief system in so many areas. But
Right.
I mean, I parent my daughter like I'm authoritative, right? I try to
Yeah.
meet my child where she's at, not where
Right.
I'm at, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't yell, I don't talk. I really don't talk loud, except when I speak or on any
Right.
kind of platform. But like I try to convey an opposite message of how I was parented, right? But
Yes.
and I'm not speaking down on them. I'm just saying that like I just I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that, and like it leads to very low self-esteem. It leads to like fighting to like prove yourself in many areas. So critical parenting, like we call it authoritarian, is just it just doesn't work. And we for me in my experience, and
Right.
so that's what it causes trauma. It causes
No, it
deep
does.
trauma. Yes.
This is very educational, seriously, because I work with children, teenagers, and I am authoritative. Like I stand my ground. The kids
Yes.
love me, and I love kids. So I don't know,
Hmm.
when it comes to kids never. My oldest is 23, and she
Hmm.
didn't argue with me as a child, but as
Hmm.
an adult, she like really laid it on me, and I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah. 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 No, I
So,
feel you there.
and it causes problems, Joey, right? And I know that a
Yes.
lot of parents can understand this conversation that we're
Hmm.
having because it happens in everyone's homes a lot, especially here in America. So that's
Yes.
really good that you touched on that, Joey. And in school, you also had it there. You had low self-esteem and then you didn't get
Yeah.
along with others well.
Yeah.
You
And
felt,
like I said,
yeah,
I'm a more, a person that just stands back and is very calm and very patient
right.
and very waiting. I got bullied my whole high school, and I just, drugs. When drugs came in the picture,
Yeah.
it was just a way out. You know what I
How
mean?
old
It
were
was,
you?
I'd say, right as I just about to turn 17. So like right around there,
Exactly.
you
And
know.
that's why parents need to know this, especially right now, Joey. You know about
Yes.
fentanyl. You
Yeah.
know for a fact what this stuff is doing to our
Yes.
youth, our mothers and fathers, our sisters and our brothers, our
Hmm.
friends. This is our aunts, uncles. These are people. And you saw about Philadelphia. Is that where it's
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
It is like, this is not real. And this is what's
Yeah.
going on in our world. Joey has come here to share and talk about never give up on people no matter what, because people can turn around. Joey, you
It can.
started when you dibbling and dabbling with it at the age of 17.
Hmm. And look at today. That's late compared to how young they're using today.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
I help kids that are younger, right? They're using it 12,
Yes.
13.
Yes. Yes.
That's, I mean,
Nine,
just
10.
I,
Joey. Yes.
amazing. It amazes me. And like I said, and that's why, it's not, it's progressing, and it's not getting better in some areas. So,
Yes.
and that's, I mean, that's what I'm seeing through my experience, especially as a practitioner, parent, and all the different, hats I wear, professor, therapy, like all those different hats.
Yes.
I see
Yes.
it, and see, I'm able to just use that attitude of no attic left behind. See, I use that right in my right in my family. See, I have a daughter, she's 14, right? And I try to,
Yes.
obviously, like, my wife and I are both in recovery. We work in recovery, and we're in
Yes.
school, all these different things. We share a lot of hats, right? And we have a 14-year-old daughter that's, she's right at that cusp where
Absolutely.
I know kids, I'm getting
Absolutely.
ready to go to that school that she goes to, and I'm going to talk to the entire school. They're
Yes.
having me up there because I want to impact them and just
Yes.
share some things and meet them where they're at, and just show them that, like, I'm not just some guy wearing a suit. I have some life experience, and maybe I'll reach the kids. And that's what I told her. Her name's Gianna, and I call her G. And like I said, those are the conversations I have with her. I my wife's the more, she's gonna yell at her, she's gonna tell her how it is, and she, and but there's me, me and my wife complement each other very well. I think in parenting,
Yes.
we're a lot alike yet a lot different, but we, I think the one theme is just like showing G that we want to meet her where she's at, so she knows she could come to us in a time where, hey, listen, mom, dad, listen, these guys, kids are smoking weed, these kids are whatever, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just want to be cool, right? That was me.
Yeah.
That was Jody. Right? That was my
Yeah.
wife, same thing. And I wanted to be able to talk about it. And
Yes.
listen, like, I'm not going to judge her, Jody's going to
You
give her
can't,
that,
right? That's
but
what this is
that's
the
it.
whole thing. Parents
Yeah.
need to do this, sit down and take responsibility, get to know your
Yes.
child. This is the
Yes.
time that it starts because we feel like, hey, no one's there for us. They're all caught
Yes.
up doing this and that. Parents are working, parents are caught up in their own relationships when their mother or father is not, that doesn't have a mate,
Yeah.
and they're trying to date, and a
Yeah.
lot of times the parents are tired and they work and they
Yeah.
have all these stressful lifestyle, and the child's over here suffering in their teenage years
Yeah.
because teenagers go through some stuff.
They do. Right. And
And
it's all
that's the
different
time
now.
when everybody's hanging out,
Hmm.
doing stuff, trying stuff, drinking, smoking, cigarettes, doing drugs, trying drugs for the very first time, trying other things for the very, this is the time, not, I mean, this is the reality of it. So
Yeah. And it's
that's
all different.
why, yes. So you will touch kids' lives, Joey. That's
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. It's my book is also about, where people don't talk about this much. It's about no child left behind. It's about applying that attitude that I take in my work, that I take at home, and it shows kids through my experiences. I wanted to give them not just something like, listen, I'm a practitioner, this is what I think you should do. No, I'm going to give you some tangible experience of, when I was using, and I miss my son, right? I have a son who's not with me. He's with my ex, but I gave him experiences when I grew up, and addiction, and in, like, just actual moments where, like, the drugs just had me, and the disease is like just giving orders and telling me to march, and I'm wanting to spend time with my son, and my son's there, and it's just like, just teaching him, like, if your parents using, like, just sometimes, like, don't give up on them. Maybe you have to love them from a distance, but I wanted to just reach out and just grab their heart and just put them in my book and just say, listen, this is some experience maybe you could apply to your own life, and maybe you can't. But if it just helps one kid, it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
this, the fentanyl
Yeah.
that these people are on, they're trying to get away out of here. And that's what I see a lot of times. Everybody just want to be numb. It's a
Yeah.
very, very addicting. It could
Yeah.
cost them their life. Tell us about your experience on heroin.
Oh my. I'll give you a good experience, and just, I always say, just Hell isn't just a place you can go. It's what I carried around with me for 22 years, right? And I remember those days and just dreaming of being a family, dreaming of having a family, dreaming of seeing my son. And all those moments, the disease addiction, it just woke me up every morning and said, you better march, you better suit up, and like, we're going to get high today. And Joey, you're not going to be sick today. And I would just say, yes, sir. And I would suit up and I would keep going, and sweat would be pouring off. And I didn't shower for weeks and I barely ate. And I just kept marching to the beat of the drum of addiction, you know, and it would just, I just wanted to be okay. At first it was fun, and then it became a job. And then it was a job that I didn't get paid for, but I worked every day and I worked overtime. There's no fishing. There's no holidays. There's no birthdays. There's no uh, anything like that on with addiction, right? There's no time for any of that. Um, Heroin just controls your life, which is addiction, and I just remember that just it's a never-ending vicious cycle that I couldn't get out. And I would try every way. I would try everything I could do. Those moments, like I put in my book. I mean, those moments, overdosing next to my mom. I put a chapter in my book about overdosing next to my mom in that exact moment, and it's seen through my mother's eyes. And I wanted people to see that. You hear about them, and the stigma would be so thick from the professional people, like the EMTs, the paramedics, the hospital, the ER technicians, the physicians. And I barely made it through. I made it through with like grace, right? Some unmerited favor. Like I felt I didn't deserve to get through. Like I was graced through that. And some of those moments, you know, uh, like I didn't think I was coming back. I didn't think I was coming back. And like I said, and I share that. My daughter asked me, she's like, well, how did you make it through? And I describe some of that stuff. And to people that are in addiction, they can't even conceptualize that stuff. They can't conceptualize not showering for a month. They can't conceptualize just surviving off of chocolate milk and like junk food, right? And they can't see that. Well, like that was it. It was living life by default. And you'd have a breath of fresh air every now and then, and you'd have a moment of clarity. And maybe the judicial system would put you in handcuffs that would get you and wake you up for a second, and you get a breather. But as soon as, right, if you didn't hold on long enough, right, if you didn't hold on long enough for that obsession to leave you, the disease of addiction, right, and it just didn't stop. My brain was like the left side coming up with ideas and the right side trying to buy it. And that's how it was every day.
Mm,
Every day you worked for addiction, and there's no breaks, and there's no vacation, and there's no paid time off, right? And
mm,
there's no sick
mm,
days,
mm, mm,
you
mm,
know? And that's how it was for 22 years, just wishing to be back, missing my mom, right? Missing my mom, missing my son, missing a family, wishing I had a relationship, losing all these things, right? That everything must go sale all the time. All my belongings got to go. The disease of addiction takes front stage. And I just couldn't get out of that vicious cycle. And I was cool just to kill myself. I was cool. Suicide was so attractive to me.
yeah,
It was so attractive, right?
yeah.
And it just kept, right, was
Because you were
slowly.
doing it, you were doing it slowly. You were doing it
Yeah,
slowly anyways,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
that's why. Because
yeah,
you're at your lowest point in your entire life, every single day of your life for 22 years. Addiction, no one can not understand addiction unless you have been there and been
yeah,
so far down to where you're like, oh my God, am I gonna
yeah,
go? Like it's is it better off because I'm not living? You don't even know who you are. You're not even,
yeah,
you're just a walking flesh of emptiness. That's how you feel. You feel just so you're just not available. You don't know. You literally has have can look in the mirror when you're addiction and say, who are you? Because I don't even know you. And if I could find my way back to being that person that I even could
Yeah.
even fathom once being, because I remember as that child, as that young person, that I did feel something, but now there's nothing. And you want that. You want to get back there again and you want to feel better than ever. But that the addiction will eat you alive. So
It
what
will.
was that turning point for you, Joy?
You know, it was a moment that I didn't expect, and I'll describe this whole moment. It was I woke up one morning and I knew that I was at the end of the road, and I didn't know what to do, and the disease just woke me up. Just get up, and I got up and I got dressed, and I didn't want to be dope sick again, right? Put in opiate withdrawal, and I didn't want to just anything to happen, and I wanted this madness to stop. I just wanted my brain to shut off. I just wanted an hour of sleep, 10 minutes of sleep. And I couldn't even get that. I had to wake and I had to get up and I ran out the door and keep running. I really couldn't run, but I tried and I'm walking and I'm shaking and I'm walking down the street in our town, right? I'm from a town where 3,000 people, everybody knows everybody, right?
Right.
Everybody knows everybody business. They know I'm an addict. They know I'm using. I'm the only one that doesn't know, right? I'm the only one. And I have a hood up. I always have a hood up. It's kind of why like the cover of my book has a hood and I've always have a hood up and I'm walking with a hoodie and just walking down and just ready to give up on life because I didn't know what to do. I
Right.
didn't know how to get out of the moment I was in. I didn't know what was about to happen. So there was a gas station in my town and I right like I said is I'm really no good criminal. I'm no bad criminal. I'm just nothing. I'm a shell of a human being. I am I am I didn't know who I was at that time, and I was just no self, no feelings, no emotion, nothing. So I ran in, didn't have no weapon or anything like that. I just ran in, robbed the gas station, ran out, right. I left there and I needed to get high and like I was running down the street and I got high and I was sweating and I knew the disease was screaming at me in my mind and I ran down and I ran and I ran and I was across the street from the police station and I remember right across from the police station and I sat down on the sidewalk. I sat down on the sidewalk and I was shaking, very bad, and sweat just kept running down.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
I still had my phone. I still had my phone. I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but you're never going to talk to me again. I need to just kill myself." And I know I was talking loud and I was talking frantically and I just wouldn't stop sweating and shaking and she's like, "What?" And she's screaming and she's worried and I can't stop. I can't stop using. I need to just, kill myself and just yelling. And I says, "I'm just so sorry. I couldn't I, I'm so sorry I didn't add up and I want to be a good son and I'm sorry." And I think I was just yelling all kind of things in that moment. And she's screaming, she's crying, and I just hang up. And I just hang up and I put my head down and I was ready to kill myself right there. Ready to
Really?
kill myself. Yeah. And then sitting there, and then it felt like I was with no power of my own. I got up and I just kept I walked across the road and it was like I was like getting carried almost and because I was at the end and I knew if I kept using it was going to get worse and
Okay.
I couldn't stop and I was ready to kill myself but I felt carried across that road
Okay.
and I walked across and I went to the side entrance of the jail and I walked in and there was an officer there and I says I'm so sorry I can't stop using. And they knew I was an addict, and they knew my family from our shoe store and all, everything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said, I'm sorry, I robbed the gas station. I can't stop using. Please just take me to jail. I can't stop. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself, please. And the police chief was there, and I forget,
Oh, Joey,
you
you
know,
cried out for help.
I did. I did.
Oh,
And
yes.
they took me, and they took me in there, and I've been clean ever since.
Oh, Joey. Oh, that is wow. You made it. You asked for help. That's what
Yes.
it's about.
I didn't think I could make it,
I know. I know that feeling. I know that.
but
Yeah.
I quit getting busy dying, and I started to get busy living.
Yes, you did. Yeah. That's why I have this podcast. I'm so thankful. I know what it's like to make it back around. I know what it's like to be down. That is so amazing, Joey. And that's what I had to do too. Uh, if you're listening, and I know you're listening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so happy that you've joined us today. I am so thankful that Joey showed up today. He has this magnificent story because this is life. And if you're going through something right now, you feel like you can't you can't make it through and you need some help, ask for help. Don't wait. Just ask for help and get the help that you need
Yes.
because it's not over for you. It's about to just be a new beginning for you. And new beginnings, Joy, are scary.
Yeah. Yeah, they are so scary.
Tell us
I,
about your new beginnings when you started your new beginnings in
I mean, my life changed so much after that. It,
life.
I stayed clean, and I ran into recovery, right? I did some, prison, came out of prison, and I thanked the police because they were divine appointments, and they showed up and they carried me through a place I couldn't get through. And so like I'm back in the town where I got high and where I kept dying slowly, right? I was slowly committing suicide, and now I'm
Yes.
there, and I got this passion, and I'm on fire, and I know that like I'm not gonna get another chance, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get another chance. That's what I
Yeah.
felt. So I just
Yeah.
kept running, and I kept getting put in different situations where doors would open, and I would be able to be of service in just ways that I couldn't fathom.
Yes.
you know I kept running. I got involved, right? I got my
Yes.
own recovery program. I'm going to 12-step meetings. I'm staying active. I'm I met this guy, Mark St. Cyr. He was on the board of this recovery group, and the next thing you know, I'm the president of this nonprofit. He loved my
Wow.
passion. So like, I mean, I'm running in recovery, right? I have a Dodge Dart. I get my car wrapped with this big recovery symbol, like the whole thing, and
Oh,
it has these
wow.
arms in the front. It was like the recovery mobile. And I'm chasing people down to help them, and I'm taking people to treatment, and I'm doing whatever I can, and I'm being of service. Um,
Wow.
and like all these different areas, and listen, I'm loving to live. That's what I got, right? I got these tattoos that says live life on my knuckles, and I lived life, and I kept living, right? And we
Yes.
wanted to make, right, addicts wanted to make a dent in our community. We wanted to make a difference. So I went to the Charleroi Borough meeting, and I'm speaking for addicts, and I'm getting active in politics, and I'm trying to make a difference, and I'm trying to advocate for us to get a recovery house of some sort, right? I think they call them sober living homes in Cali and different places. So we need that. We need housing. There's a lot of disparities in our area, right? And so like I said, I have no legal experience, right? I I I watched YouTube and taught myself pretty much how to be a paralegal. I
Yes.
watched YouTube and learned how to write. I
Self-taught.
created.
Yes.
Yeah, I got us as a 501(c)(3). I did that. I taught myself.
Absolutely. Yes.
I wrote grants from watching YouTube, and I
Yes.
helped write the business plan, the grant of a recovery house that ended up coming to fruition, right? 2 years after I ended up leaving the board, and now they're like a fully sustainable 501(c)(3). They're doing well, and they help in all these different areas, and I led that way, and right for like 4 years until right I kept doing that until like my life was pushed in a different direction. And um and I said, someone said, like, you need to be of service in your family. And I says, I don't know how to do that. And why don't you go to school? And I went to school,
Mm.
and I kept grinding, and I kept
Yeah.
just persevering, one, over obstacle after obstacle. And
Yes.
right, I'm working on my fourth degree. Right, I got my
Yes.
associates, I got my bachelor's, I got my master's of social work, and now I'm halfway done with my doctorate of social work. You know, I
Yeah.
was an addict. I was an addict that was on the ground, that couldn't afford a cigarette and was living life by default and was not showering. I was that addict that was ready to kill myself across the street from the police station. And
Yes. Yes.
I kept running, and my life,
Yeah.
uh, in the midst of that, I I listen. I didn't even want to get paid. I remember this. I was leaving Club Serenity, and these two ladies from this agency, Southwestern Pennsylvania Human Services (SPHS), their executive director, Cheryl Emila, and supervisor at the time, Rita Nichols. They make an appointment to see me at the Club Serenity. And that's the recovery group. And I was
Yes.
just about right leaving there. And they come in, right? Because I'm not getting paid for Club Serenity. That's nonprofit. I'm volunteer. They
Yes.
come in and they say, listen, Joey, we have these things the Governor Wolf created from Pennsylvania, right? Governor Wolf. It's called Centers of Excellence. It's because of the opioid epidemic. Everybody's dying with overdoses. There are these facilities that are doing what you're doing, right? I was doing it before I had my own center of excellence, before there was a center of excellence. I was going out and I was a recovery cowboy, right?
Yes.
And that's what we were, me and my friends. And they
Yes.
said, listen, why don't you come with us? And why don't you let us pay you? And I says, I don't want to, and I fought them. This was an ongoing fight for like weeks. I said, I don't want to get paid. I don't, Joey, we want to pay you. You're doing good work. I remember I couldn't even decide. And I remember I left the club one day, or my office in the club, and I looked up at this sign, and we have a big sign that says expect a miracle. And I looked up and I said a prayer. And I remember at that moment, I decided I said, listen, maybe I'll take a shot. This is the same. It's a big, big agency, spans over like 8 counties. Uh, and it's the same agency that I used to go to interns. I was a client in outpatient and couldn't get clean. I was a
See,
client that
yes.
pretty much almost
Absolutely.
got kicked out of. And
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 now here you are
at that oh it's just crazy. And then
giving back
I took a
service.
chance. I took a chance, and
And here you
I
are.
walked in those doors. Yeah, and I'm still working there now as a supervisor of a drug and alcohol big
And I'm
program.
so happy.
It's
Here you
crazy.
are. Ladies and gentlemen, if he can do it, you can do it as well. Because life is about going through the trials and tribulations and turning your life back around and finding your true purpose in life and your true calling. Joey, okay, we're going to wrap it up. We are going to have Joey back on for a follow-up, and it will
Mhm.
be live video. Today we had a little technical difficulties, so we had to do audio today. So we'll be back for a follow-up. And I do want Joey to give his information just in case you would like to reach out to Joey. And so, Joey, tell us about your book quickly. Just give like 30
Okay.
seconds on that. And then
Yeah.
let's give out a quick message of your personal information, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Okay.
All right. My book is coming out, which is called No Addict Left Behind. It's a recovery medicine state of mind. It's coming out on April 25th on Amazon.com. It's the story of part of my life, along with my co-author, Dr. Scott A. Cook, well-known recovery medicine physician, and we go over the stigma of addiction, the dogma of addiction, right? How not having to recover, how someone else recovered, and just being okay with that. It's about the same themes that I talked about, meeting people where they're at. You could find my book, like I said, on Amazon, or you could find me and get the book at my website, which is noaddictleftbehind.life. All right. And you could also find me on Instagram, Facebook. It's No Addict Left Behind, 6113. Grateful and Clean. You can find me on Twitter, Grateful and Clean 7. And you can find me on TikTok also, Joseph Pagano, and LinkedIn. So all these sites, you can find information on book signings, my background, how I could help. I'd love to talk to you. So just please reach out because I'll help in any way I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from Joey Pagano. He is absolutely wonderful. And we thank you so much for your services because now you're giving back to the community. I would like to leave you all, ladies and gentlemen, with a number to National Suicide Lifeline. If you're going through something and you feel like you may feel a little suicidal, I would like to tell you to pick up the phone and please call 1-800-273-TALK. Again, if you are having suicidal thoughts, please pick up the phone and dial 1-800-273-TALK 8255. And I will leave you with a poem by Douglas Maylock. Sure, this world is full of trouble. I ain't said it ain't. Lord knows I've had enough and double reason for complaint. Rain and storm have come to fret me. Skies are often gray. Thorns and brambles have come to beset me all the road. But say, ain't it fine today? What's the use in always weeping, making trouble last? What's the use in always keeping thinking of the past? Each must have his tribulations, water with his wine. Life, it ain't no celebration trouble. I've had mine, but today is fine. It's today that I'm living, not a month ago. Having, losing, taking, giving, as time wills it so. Yesterday, a cloud of sorrow fell across the way. It may rain again tomorrow. It may rain, but say, ain't it fine today? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for joining us. Joey, thank you so much and congratulations to you. And we'll be back soon with a follow-up on you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much and have a great day.
You too. Enjoy.
All right.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.